Hey guys, just doing a quick tutorial on how to do round builds. Okay, so starting out we're going to have this like cross or X shape, and it's 5 and 5 up and across. So our next step is going to be to take some of these foundation pieces and try to put them centered in between like the X part on this. You're going to want to try to get it as centered as possible, and it can take a little messing with to kind of get it where you want it, but you're just going to repeat that in all 4 corners until you've got all 4 of them looking like this. So you will end up with something that looks like this. Now I like to go through and just make sure that all of the pieces are at even heights. I'm not taking a lot of time doing it in this video just because it's a tutorial and I already have a blueprint saved on it. But if you're making your own blueprint, I would recommend taking the time to make sure that all those are as perfect as possible. So this is what it's going to look like. Okay, our next step is going to be to remove all of these center pieces, I guess is what you would call them. Go ahead and remove those from each one. Okay, so now this is the kind of tricky part. What you're going to need to do is slide each of these pieces that's kind of sticking out and try to get them up even with these other pieces. You're going to want them touching but not overlapping too much. So again, I would spend some time making sure that these are right if you're going to make a blueprint. I'm just doing the quick version just because it's a tutorial. And again, I'm just going through and making sure that all of those floor pieces are at even levels, because this is going to matter. You're going to want to try to have as little gap as possible because that is going to matter kind of once it all comes together. It's not going to be perfect, but get it as close as you can. So our final result will look something like this. Alright, now we're going to place our wall pieces, and the way we want to do this is we want to make sure that the walls are facing inward, because that's gonna be what makes the blueprint do what it's gonna do. And we do want these to be door frames because the door frames are what's going to allow us to remove that piece in the center. So just go through and repeat this process with each foundation. And we end up with something like this. Now we're going to put a foundation piece in the middle because if you don't, you will have a hole there. Not a huge deal, you can cover it with a rug, but just kind of better in my opinion. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a small catwalk and a medium catwalk, attach those, and then attach the floor to it. That way everything is nice and even. And leave that in the center. So we've got that. Now onto our roof pieces. Okay, and because our walls are backwards, it's going to want to attach those roof pieces to the inside. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach it to the inside and then attach one to the outside, and then just continue moving that inside roof piece around until we basically have all of the walls covered with roof piece pointing to the outside. So we end up with this in the end. Okay, and our final step for this is going to be to blueprint all of that. Blueprint every roof piece, every wall piece, and every foundation piece. And go ahead and save that. So now we've got our blueprint, and let's see what happens whenever we place that. As you can see, once it's placed, it does flip everything basically inside, which gives you that roundness. It does that because foundation pieces want to be on the inside of walls. So that's just kind of a little trick. So I just want to quickly show you how you'll basically do a multi-level version of the round. It's going to be pretty much the same thing. We're just going to exclude one thing. So continue this process, you know, from the round. Go ahead and put your roof pieces on just like we did the short round. And I won't bore you with showing all those steps again. Okay, now that we've got everything placed, we are once again going to blueprint everything, except this time we are not going to blueprint that middle foundation piece because for some reason when you do the multi-level it doesn't like that piece and it won't place the blueprint. There probably is a workaround to this. Unfortunately, I don't know what that is at this time, but the hole in the middle, you're just gonna have to deal with it if you use this blueprint. There are tons of other build videos out there, and I'm sure that they would be able to show you that workaround if you were interested. Okay, so go ahead and save that blueprint. So now that we've got it, let's see what happens when we place it. And you can see that once it's placed, it does the same thing. Everything just kind of flips into the center. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I would build like around a tree or something. I don't have a tree here, so I'm just going to use this as our tree per se. So go ahead and place your foundations around that tree as close as possible. Sometimes it's not going to let you get too close, but just place those around because we're going to be putting floating walls down, so it's not going to matter too terribly much, but you do want to get it as close as possible. Okay, so now we want to get our floating wall blueprint. I do have a video prior to this that does show you how to make that blueprint if you need it. So I just kind of go around and place these walls like around the tree. There's not really a perfect science to it the way that I do it. There's probably a better way, but this is just the way that I do it. Sometimes it takes some eyeing, and sometimes you have to go back and kind of redo it just because it's not like a perfect circle or anything. But you just kind of repeat this process all the way around. So you will end up with something like this, and again, I'm just doing this for the tutorial, so I didn't put a whole lot of attention into the detail. Then you'll just go through and delete all of those catwalks because we're going to move on to roofs next. And as you can see here, this is an issue that sometimes comes up with these kind of builds, unfortunately. where you just can't get that roof piece on. So I did end up having to go in and readjusting my walls a little bit so that I could get that roof piece to fit in there. And again, not spending too much time on this just because it's a tutorial. So now for our roof pieces, I recommend using the ones that can easily be changed into other roof shapes, like not the barn set because those ones are a little bit weird, but any other roof set should be fine. And you're going to just kind of go around and place those on any of them that it will allow you to place them. So this next step we will use a flamethrower. If you have not done the quest for that, I highly recommend that you do because it is so crucial for building. The quest line was not that bad. I don't like doing quests, but I did it so that I could get that flamethrower. So next you're just going to flatten one of those roof pieces and basically burn any of the other roof pieces so that the game doesn't recognize that they're there. And then we will just continue on adding wherever it will allow us to add. Just basically rinse and repeat. Add them, burn them, add them, burn them. As you can see, once they are burnt, it will allow you to place other roof pieces that are technically overlapping. And sometimes in order to place that flamer in the right place, you need to kind of just add some random roof pieces in there, just so you have kind of a place to set it. And we will delete those after. And again, we're just kind of moving our flamethrower around so that we can get all of those roof pieces burnt. And don't be afraid to change these roof pieces and manipulate them however you need to kind of make that happen. Okay, so now that we've got all of the roof pieces set on each wall, what we're going to do is just go through and repair them all. And then we are going to go in and change those all to flat roof pieces so that you have a nice flat floor. I did accidentally delete a roof piece, but we're not going to worry about that right now. So now that you've got everything nice and flat, go through and delete all of your walls. Since they're door pieces, you will have to delete the doors first, and you can delete all of the foundation pieces. So you can see we have our floating floor around our tree or whatever it is. So the only tricky thing about doing this method is that you are going to have to use your floating wall pieces, to create walls. I don't mind it so much. You can get them lined up pretty well. They'll even overlap a little bit. So not too terrible in my opinion. So now you'll just go in and add your walls as you wish. Thanks for watching. Hope you found this helpful.